Welcome back to the Mo Money, Mo Problems podcast, the podcast dedicated to the trials, triumphs, and insights of green industry business owners. I'm your host, Matt Foreman, and today we have with us Dustin Walker of Landscape St. Louis in, you guessed it, St. Louis, Missouri. And I'm excited to have you here.
Hey Matt, thanks. I'm glad to be here. It's always a pleasure to get to connect with you. And yeah, we're happy to do this thing today.
Absolutely. All right. So, again, we're just gonna be chatting. I'm very interested in your story, because um you have a very well established landscaping business that seems like it's been around for a while, and you're very young. So, I wanted to hear a little bit about like how you got into the green industry, how you got into Landscape St. Louis.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I age really well. So the
I know you're like
37-year-old come.
60, 70, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right on the money there.
Yep.
So skincare routine every single day.
These are the takeaways we want.
That's right. No, look, great question. I come from a really unique experience based on this industry. I think most landscape professionals who own a business, they typically have been part of almost every role, and they start a company themselves, right? It's kind of that's the classic story you hear, and it's a really great story. I love hearing it myself. Some part of me has a bit of envy with that because they get so much robust understanding of it, and mine is just so dissimilar. I started off owning a photography media agency back in Los Angeles, California, and had a really great experience there. My whole background was photography. So I spent a lot of time shooting different subjects over my career. I went from red carpet Hollywood events to all headshots for actors because I was desperate for money at the time. So I lowered my value a little bit there, which was great. It was good money. And then I went all the way up into interior design, architecture, and branding for different companies, and did some really fun work along the way. So to we could go really long into this journey. It was about 10 years running this, which was really fun. I had photographers under my banner after a certain time. We were servicing from LA up to Seattle, all the way over to Colorado, working for some really cool brands like Airbnb and Home Depot. Awesome stuff. And I found myself in a position where I just didn't have enough leadership experience to continue managing people. And while I had what I think was a natural ability to do it, I didn't have some tools in my belt. And so I decided to, well, my wife and I decided to move to St. Louis, and that kind of pushed the decision on the business of like, okay, maybe it's time to close this chapter and start something new. So I did. I moved into the corporate world and worked for a very large commercial real estate data and analytics company called CoStar Group, and they own a ton of subsidiaries. The main consumer-facing one of that is apartments.com, and did some really fun stuff there. They put me as the manager of operations for media. And at any given stage, I had about 30, 40 photographers under my belt all across the country. I enacted some big initiatives with like thousands of freelancers, managing all of that. Super fun stuff. But what they did for me was leadership. And they gave me so many tools, and they put me through so many different programs and gave me the opportunity to be um, taught by some really impressive people, some mentors. And it was everything I was looking for in that world. And then what I found was big corporate bureaucracy comes with a lot of red tape, and that kind of crushes a leader's integrity if you have such a thing. And I was being really pulled in my heartstrings of what I was directed to do to be successful in my role, opposed to what I would do myself and what choices I would make myself. So I got to a point with them where I really respected the company. They were great, but I reached a stopping point, and I was like, I think I could do things differently, and they might pan out to be better. I won't ever know until I take that leap. So I went on a bit of a journey, and I spent a year looking for a business, and I really didn't know what industry I wanted to be a part of. It was really up in the air, which was super exciting. I looked at a plethora of businesses, and anyone out there thinking they want to do something and you just want money, storage units, great money grab. The profits are insane. Um,
Great reality TV shows too.
it's
Storage
very
Wars.
true.
I mean,
Love all about it. Sunday afternoon, keen. So I got close with a couple businesses throughout that year. Some were pressure washing companies that were for mobile fleets, for trucks. It was really unique businesses, but I kept coming back to what would make me proud at the end of the day of a long day's work, and what would I come home and feel like I contributed something to my community. And I kept coming back to landscaping. And so I'll cut back a little bit longer. When I was a kid, my dad, he was a very successful finance businessman, took a lot of companies public. He dealt with a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Lucky for me during this position of my life. But he was also in his alternate life a landscaper.
Okay.
And we spent my childhood building his property, my childhood home. And there was a lot of pride to that. Of course, there was times in my childhood where I was like, stuff this, I just want to go party with my mates. Um, but there was some impact to that that lasted longer than my childhood that you reflect back on. You're like, there was something beautiful here. And so as I then entered my adulthood, I worked on all my yards myself. I built things, patios, decks, walkways, paths, all these little things, plantings. Um, Come to find out pretty terribly now that I own this business. Did things really wrong, but that's why we leave it to the professionals sometimes. So landscaping was something sentimental to me in my heart, and so I found Landscape St. Louis, and I met the previous owner, Ron Gedeker and Mary Alice Gedeker, and they were just wonderful human beings, and we just clicked straight away. And it took about 6 months, and here we are.
Amazing. So you went in with the intention, like you met them with the intention of, hey, I'm interested in acquiring this business.
I was pretty gung ho and I was pretty
Yeah.
intentional with my conversation. I think my first thing I said to them is like, look, I have a list of 10 things I like about your business. And I
Great.
kind of went through that list with them and I said, so I don't know the things I don't like yet. And I really want to have an honest conversation. And I want to know some of your pain points you've experienced over the last couple decades that you've been running this. And so we just had a really honest conversation.
Well, so I'm really interested. What, if any, like what were those things that you didn't know that you didn't like yet, if any?
Time and material. There
Okay.
are no contracts, which some would argue is pretty great, and there are benefits to it. There's certainly the upside, and it comes in handy. What struggles with that is forecasting,
Hmm.
reliability. You have to be extremely flexible in your schedule because of time and material. It's like, yes, I've got recurring clients, and we do have that, but with that said, there are people that come out of the woodworks, current maintenance clients that just say, hey, I also need XYZ now. And so without having like this contractual basis of like, hey, we're here, there's money left on the table. And then on top of that, you just kind of get screwed a little bit with your forecasting and scheduling. So it comes with some downs. I am moving towards trying to get everyone contractual. It won't be
Hmm.
100%, but it could potentially be 85.
Gotcha. So with them stepping down, and actually, how long was Landscape St. Louis in business prior to you coming on?
30, 37 years.
Okay, so very established in the area. Was there any like issues? I know you said you didn't have contracts, so maybe no like recurring clients, like a maintenance program or anything like that. But was there any kind of issues with, oh, we're here because we love the previous owners, like anything like that, or has that transition been pretty smooth, like without any kind of like loss?
Yeah, that was basically my first 6 months.
Okay.
Is is exactly that.
Yeah.
So we do have recurring clients. So we
Okay.
do have like people who we service weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly. We have all those. It's just a handshake and a head nod of we know you're coming.
Gotcha.
Which was really ambiguous for me as a new owner. I didn't get the guidance I was hoping for
Hmm.
with how to kind of manage that, especially being brand new. So
Yeah.
I let a lot of people down in the beginning and neglected certain clients, not understanding how that rhythm worked.
That's
Um,
interesting, especially knowing that you yourself went through the pain and struggle of corporate. And obviously,
yeah,
like you're here trying to run a successful business, but you know that it does require a personability. You gotta be
yeah,
face to face at necessary times. So yeah, so sorry to interrupt. So
no,
you were saying like first 6 months you were going through that. What changed?
yeah. But you hit the nail on the head. It's such a personal thing, right? Like,
Mm.
and especially the small business he created, it was such a personal experience. Ron was the face of the business. He
Okay.
was the driver to the business. Everyone
Yeah.
wanted Ronald Goedicke because of his incredible architectural designs. He was incredible, and he's created such a legacy here. So, what massive shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Um, and what was an easy transition for me is to let people know I'm not Ron, and I'm not trying to fill his shoes. I'm a whole new entity into this business to drive a different satisfaction on your end that this company hasn't seen before. I'm like, now we've got someone here who's been with Ron for over a decade who's going to be remaining as our landscape designer. That person fills his shoes in that category. What I do is bring organizational success.
Hmm.
And so I really lent into that side, not trying to say I will be Ron, because no one could ever be wrong. He was an incredible guy. Um, and so I just offered a different value. And so explaining that and also being fresh to the industry, I didn't want to falsely advertise who I was. And so I made an intentional decision to tell the clients, hey, I'm new to the industry. I actually have never been inside the landscaping industry before. I'm really excited to learn. I've spent a lot of time learning so far. I've come this far. I have tons further to go. I hope you'll help me along the way. My whole team is on board with giving me advice. I'm leaning into them as their expertise. And I think that went a long way with building that trust, because it's not like I'm trying to sell them. I'm not trying to fool them. I'm just being
Hmm.
honest. I'm someone
Yeah.
who's really excited about the place that I just acquired, and what I get to do to improve their daily lives in their landscapes.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, what a kind of let your own guard down, show your vulnerabilities, but also show your care. And
Yeah,
also letting Ron's legacy live on. Because as you mentioned, he built a great business
he
that
did.
you're very proud to invest in and now be a part of as well. So, and with that, I mean, that's got to be a lot of shared, just kind of focus with you and existing and past clients. So, I
Yeah.
love. So, how has that been though? In terms of like, obviously, okay, so because you're doing so many things at once right now, you're buying a business, you're learning the business, you're learning the industry, you're
Yeah.
learning how to juggle customers, you're learning how to get customers, and you're doing a lot of stuff like now, like
Yeah.
right away. How has how's that been just juggling all of that?
Well, I'll start, and it's a great question. And I'll start with this. Um, Lean on the people you have in place to help you.
Great.
And I think that's such a critical piece to it, is like, why do you have people help you if you're not going to trust them to do so? And so I'm a big believer in that. I don't like micromanaging. I'm saying I need help, and I'm vulnerable and honest enough to admit when I need it. So I'm not trying to be here and say, I know how to do this. I'm going to go attack it. I'm going to ask people's opinions. Right. And so I think one of my first meetings with my landscape designer was like, hey, what is some great places to get educated in this industry? Because I'm going online and finding thousands of places I could really go. And the first place I did go was NALP. And they were a great resource. Before I even took over, I took over their landscape management course. And huge, because just knowing key verbiage in the industry, so I
Sure.
didn't sound like such a
Right.
fool. So,
Guilty.
yeah,
As a digital marketer, I
yeah,
have to know like the actual
yeah,
landscaping lawn care lingo. So I'm right there with you.
yeah. So that was key. Look, some clients are skeptical of me still as well. And I didn't mention that before. I haven't lost anyone, but I certainly have skepticism out there with some really long-standing clients who adored Ron, and as
Mhm.
they should have. And I kind of own that and say, you should be skeptical, but don't trust me on my words. Just let me prove to you and just give me a go. And so
Amazing.
all of them have given me that opportunity of just to give me a go this year and say, look, if I just give you a disservice this year, I will understand you leaving. Just give it
Yeah.
a go. So with everything else said, like you mentioned, how do I juggle it all, right? It's a never-ending battle, but I think the most important thing to do is have focus priorities. It's like I could pick any part of my day and say, I've got 20 things I want to work on right now.
Hmm.
It's really difficult and overwhelming. And sure, I could just go into a ball in the side of the room and cry and say, what am I doing? But it's really important just to have focus. times, right? So it's like my calendar is everything to me. My team knows that they think it's quite disgusting because not a second of it is unfilled. And that's the only way I operate because it takes all the stress out of my head of things that I know is overwhelming me and things I need to be working on and continuing education and focusing on that funnel and saying, oh, I need to go get sales today. It's like, let's just squeeze that into a regimented place so that I can see what's feasible in a given day because I'm one person, I'm a family man, I've got two kids, a wife. So I've got all that outside. So it's just about funneling it correctly and knowing that you won't get your full task done that day. And that's okay. I'm going to funnel all the things that weren't the priority of the day into the next day. And if I don't get them done the next day, it's going to keep going, but I will eventually get there.
Yeah. Well, that makes me appreciate your time even more. I already appreciated it, but thanks for finding that little second in the calendar for this podcast.
Hey, for you, I'll find
Yeah,
many
I
seconds.
appreciate
So,
it. I appreciate it. Yeah. So, as a new father myself, your time gets cut in less than half. So now you're also throwing that in. Where, so, okay. So at this point, if I'm getting my timelines right, you're a new dad or newish dad, and
yep.
now and then you're doing all of this, then you're doing the leap of faith in the business. I love that. I mean, it's wow, scary, but I mean, what I mean, you're obviously very future thinking and very thoughtful, and I'm sure you're putting your family ahead and like, hey, you're building this legacy for your family. So, but yeah, how is that? How is like how are you juggling a personal life outside of business? Because I mean, obviously, business is very important, pays the bills, but your sanity really is just as if not even more important than all of that. So how do you do that? How do you manage your time like that? Does your family get a calendar, or is it just open free?
Yeah. I agree. Um, so I think starting the family of 3.5 years ago, that was the trial by fire of growth in something new that helped me
Mm,
prepare for something like this, right?
oh, that's cool.
Because as most people who are new to being a parent, that is the hardest development of your life, of understanding how your new rhythm works. It's not like this smooth transition. It's like
Mm,
we're done. Your that life is over, and here's your new life. Whether you signed up or not, it's difficult and it's challenging, and there's all these things you weren't really understanding that was going to happen, and it's frustrating and it's exhausting, but it's so rewarding.
mhm.
And so it's like that reward overbears all the rest of it. But man, so Ron gave me some great advice coming in because I was very concerned about that. I was already for CoStar, I was traveling 75% of the year. And that's another indicator why I want to leave because I missed
Sure.
my daughter's kind of first year of life and so many milestones. I'm like, that's not why I live. I'm like, I live for my family. They are my why, like most people. And so he gave me some great advice. I asked him, Ron, what did you do all these years when you were raising a family and how did you manage to have work-life balance? And he kind of said to me, there is no work-life balance, there's work-life integration.
Mm,
And I was
yeah.
fascinated by that topic. And I was like, okay, tell me more about that. And he kind of dived into it. And he's like,
So
look,
wise.
it
I can see the
was
wisdom already.
it was so wise. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I have never thought of it in that side of operations. So I'm like, let's dive in. So we dove in and it was really bring them into the funnel, make them part of that work culture, make your employees see your family and who you are outside of the boss, the leader of the company, have them understand you on a human level. That's going to create a lot of different understanding of you as a person, which is great. And then on the other side, my wife and kids come for lunches with me at the office. They'll do pop-up visits where they'll just rock up. They could just pop through that door any moment. It's
Love it.
possible. It brings me so much joy when that happens.
Sure.
I could be having one of those tough moments, then hear my daughter just scream out, Daddy. And it just, that feeling, it just
I
breaks
do. I
everything.
do. I love it.
Nothing else matters in that moment. So I think integrating them into work, but then also reminding yourself that, to my point before, there's a never ending funnel of things I need to do. Those things will always be there. But the thing that will always be a constant in my life is my family.
Great.
So making sure to prioritize them so on weekends and also my wife, right? Like she's a stay-at-home mom. Man, I'll argue that that's a more exhausting thing than I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I when I have to be the full-time parent on weekends, like for a full weekend, if she goes away on like I give her like girls' weekend saying you need some break, man, I'm beat to another level. Like I loved the weekend. It was awesome. Beat. So,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you do this 24/7.
Yeah,
Like you are
right.
stronger than I imagined. So I think giving your wife those breaks
Yep.
and knowing like you need some time off, like they don't get PTO as a stay-at-home mom,
Right, right.
right? There's no like, I'm gonna put in my time. It's like, do I have to approve that? Like, so there's this weird dynamic shift of like, I'm not your boss, but you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to ask me for that time. But we also have to both be in alignment with that. So a lot of development, a lot of growth. I think that whole structure of balancing is a day-to-day ambition.
Hmm.
It never ends. It's one of those things you're always going to be criticizing yourself on and saying, I can do better, just like the business. I'm always criticizing, saying, I could be doing more, I could be doing more.
Sure.
Giving yourself some grace and saying, I'm doing enough and I'm trying really hard. And that's good for right now. And if I just keep that mentality every single day, I'm trying to be the best version of myself for every area of my life. That's all anyone can ask of you.
Love it. Super business owner, super dad, super husband. You're crushing it, man. So, all right. So I want to know so you've been in the business for a while. Obviously you've been in the industry for a while. I'm sure it's not all been roses and sunshine. What if anything comes to mind? Like what's been a struggle, whether it's like an ongoing one or any one particular thing that happened. And it could be a continuous struggle or it could be something that you resolved. Like what is something that kind of surprised you even beyond the like, oh, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, great. Spring. Whoa, that's a heavy, quick shoot of ramping up in business.
So,
Um,
before we dive into spring, for
sure.
everybody listening, I would love to know because spring is different everywhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
So what is spring like the climate, everything in the St. Louis area? And
Yeah,
when does spring officially start? Obviously, we got our spring solstice days, but like when do you
yeah.
consider spring for the business?
Really March 1st.
Okay.
It's kind of like when spring's really starting to come about. So spring in St. Louis, it means everything starting to grow again,
Hmm.
which means everything needs to start being manicured. We need to start getting the funnel in. It means we've got to go do spring cleanups and get those wrapped up. It means we've got seasonal color to plant during spring, and we have a very short window to do so. And all your clients want it really at
Yeah.
that start of the window so they get the full life expectancy of those plants. So, and then on top of that, you've got your regular, consistent clients you've got to continue maintaining. Then you've also got all your new jobs coming in for design build. So, with all of that, and without having any schedule, so let me cut back. The previous owner would whip out the schedule the night before the day. And so that was kind of the way this business operated, which
Wow.
for someone super strategic
Yeah.
was like my nightmare. So
And they did that. I'm assuming 30 plus years.
30 plus years. So it
Yeah.
was so
Wow.
like easy for him.
Right. Clockwork. Yep.
So week two coming into the business, I said, let me take over the schedule. Is that cool? Can I earn this piece of it and you just help me guide of like what the work tickets are? And so I took over immediately. It was like, oh, my brain won't function.
Yeah.
Um, but I made the comment before of time and material is ambiguous, and I didn't know who needed to be scheduled. We were also all paper. So there's no digital source of data that I can go look up. I've got to go to every individual client folder and go through their season and say, where was this? What they do last year? What they do the year
Wow.
before? And so that was also a very time consuming task. My office manager is only here two times a week because she's 27 years with the business, grown with it. And so she's, closer to the retirement stage.
Hmm.
So I didn't have that backbone to be like, you can just be my workhorse doing these busy tasks. I had
Right.
to do it.
Yeah.
So I neglected a ton of clients during the spring
Mm.
without knowing it. And I'll never forget, I get a phone call from a very good client who's been with us a long time. And he goes, let me cut to, I was kind of told it's okay to skip some clients week to week because of the busy season. I'm like, oh, cool. I trust that. Shouldn't trust that. Sounds right. Um, so I got a call and he was PO'd, man. He
Yeah.
was disappointed and he's just like, is this how the new regime's going to go?
Oh,
And I'm just like, oh.
crushing.
And you have a decision to make in those moments of like, do I just push that blame somewhere else, or do I just own every piece of it and say, I'm going to be better for you tomorrow? I promise
Hmm.
you. And just own it and say, let's move on together successfully. And that's kind of the position I took. And yeah, I made mistakes through that time, but it's like, how do we hurdle those mistakes and how do we become better because of it? And so while all of that came in one big conundrum of a scheduling nightmare and how do you keep everyone consistent next year, I'm going to make more mistakes, but I have a much better plan.
Great.
So great opportunity for growth in spring. It was just really one of those high impactful moments of intensity, yet I learned so much by jumping into the fire.
Hmm.
But again, I want to state that my team in place. So that was one of the things I said to the owner when I met him is what I like about the business. We have a crew lead who's been here 30 years. We have another crew lead 27 years. We have the office manager 27. We've got an operations manager 15. We have crew members who've been here 20 years, 10,
I
15
love this. I
years.
love
Like,
hearing this. I don't hear this often, so that's great.
no, it's very unique and rare in this industry. So I was like, there's something special here. And
Hmm.
that means something special with the clients because of the way they've stayed, and it must be good clientele and customers. And then it also means there must be a great culture involved inside of this company. And so that was really the biggest highlight for me, as well as the property location. Property is in a great spot. Metro St. Louis, we're 15 minutes from every client. Um, so having that team so well understanding the business when I'm so fresh, man, I just leaned on them and just
Hmm.
said, what would you do in my shoes today? What did you do in the past? Like, how would you direct me today? And I really empowered them to have that thought. And they never really got that opportunity before me because the owner was so capable. So I think they really enjoyed having that involvement. And that's kind of like the position we're taking now is like, do you have stake in the game? Yes, you have absolute stake in the ability for us to grow and to move forward and make great decisions together.
I love it. So yeah, and I'm sure your team now, um, I'm sure they absolutely love getting to flex their knowledge and experience. I mean, I'm sure they always have, but now they're like, let me show you. So
Yeah.
how has that been? So I mean, it's obviously one thing to like take over a business and retain relationships with customers. How was it with the employees? Like how has that been? Obviously, you have to come in there um with like being humbled right away.
Yeah.
Um but and obviously you're a very likable guy, so I'm sure that it wasn't hard for everybody to like you as well. But how has that been? And I think you've answered it before. I mean, you're leaning on your team.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much fired them all at this point.
Good,
No,
good.
just a great decision. Don't look back. No, so, yeah, another great question. Look, that was probably my biggest fear coming in here is will they adapt to me? Will they accept me? I mean, this has got to be a tight-knit circle, right? Like this is like a family, that people being this long together in a career, that's insanity. Like you've got to
Hmm.
be like brothers and sisters and at this point. So coming in, I'm like, that really made me nervous. So I had this great speech I rehearsed my day one.
Yeah.
I I prepped for it. I was like, I'm gonna crush this. And I think no one remembered a thing at this point because I got asked the same questions over and over that I answered in the interview, in the speech. So it was really important for me to again lead by my actions and not by my words.
Hmm.
And so I think during that time, there was again, just like our customer base, there was so much skepticism of me. This young kid, for one, because most of our staff was of an older generation than I am. And so, like, this young kid's coming in, he doesn't know our industry. He thinks he can do what we do. He thinks he can lead us. Like, that's absolute bollocks. And I kind of leaned in with them and said, "Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think any of that yet. I mean, we're going to get there together, but currently we're not there." And so, again, just leaning into that vulnerability of humility. right?
Mm.
And my whole philosophy of leadership is I lead to serve. Like I'm here to serve you to do your best work possible. I need to support you so you can be the best you can be. And that's really what I lent into the beginning and also learning from them. And so we have the guy who's 30 years with the business, Jeff Coates. He's an incredible guy, wealth of knowledge of our clients' sites, our clients' particulars, and then just horticulture in itself. He's a very impressive guy. He was like my compass in the beginning. And I remember the second day I met him, he looked at me, he's like, I don't really believe anything you said yesterday. And
Great.
I just want to ask you point blank, what are your intentions? Are you trying to fire us all? Are you trying to like change the whole company? What are you trying to do here? I loved how honest he was.
Yeah.
And going from a white collar job with like people who are sneaky and slimy and say things, but then do others, it was exhausting. And I'm just not that person. So having someone just so blunt with me, I just kind of cracked up laughing a little bit and was like, let's get into it, man.
Yeah.
So,
I found my spot. I found my industry. I
my
love it.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had a great chat and I ended it with the same thing, the same thing I just said. It's like, don't trust my words, trust my actions. So it was really important to be with the crews those first several months.
Mhm.
I was in the field more times of the week than not, doing the work alongside them, learning from them, understanding the exhaustion each task has, as well as understanding the timing each task has, right? And then how do you do the task and what are the side variables? Is there a huge slope that makes this same task so much more difficult at this client's property? I would have them every time I went to a new job site, I'd meet the owner and have a good conversation. And then from there, I would walk the property with the crew lead. So I'd normally, some of the owners wanted to walk me around, but typically I wanted the crew lead to show me and tell me, what have we done here? What have we made an impact on? And where are our focus areas? And
Mhm.
so we went through that whole rhythm and that just really helped establish camaraderie between us, as well as just kind of like humbling myself and saying, you're the expert here. Let me understand where you've been so I can get closer to where you are today.
Love it. Yep. That's how you got to lead. I mean, especially when you're dealing with a new crew, and instant respect, I'm sure, received. Now, obviously, not everything's going to be 100% right away, but now that you've kind of established a crew, they know who you are, they know like your
Mhm.
heart behind it.
Yep.
That's going to be huge. So, it seems like almost a very similar approach between both customers and your employees. You're just being very open, honest. You're not coming in here lying about who you are, lying about your past experiences, and you're leading with flexibility too, which is sometimes a tough thing because a lot of leaders want to be rigid. It's my way or the
Mhm.
highway, and so that approach, especially when acquiring a business, it's I can't think of a more perfect approach with that. So.
But
Uh,
I will say to that point, I'm starting to change a little bit.
Okay.
And
Like
so now that
you are changing or you're changing in the
well,
business.
I'm changing into more of a, hey, I've seen how we do this.
Mhm.
That doesn't work.
Good.
And here
Okay,
and
great.
here's why. And this is what we're going to do. Trust me and let's trial it out there because I promise you it's going to drive some better results and have more impact to our customer. And
Cool.
so I'm starting at this point. This is where I'm now really starting to take a little more lead and saying, I've absorbed, I've
Mhm.
understood. I think we can do things a little differently and just trust me on the journey on this one. So whether that's bringing in technology, whether that's changing how we operate, whether that's building sliding operating gates, automated gates in our yard so that we don't have to worry about closing and opening and so we can exit another route. For it's just and what I'm thinking about is like where can we be in 10 years and how do we need to act to get there today? And
Mhm.
so, which where we were kind of thinking, the previous owner was at retirement, so he wasn't thinking that way for a long time.
Mhm.
And so it changes the whole ability of how we navigate our day to day. And I really respect my team because I'm making some pretty impactful changes to them. And it's going to be really hard, but they're trusting me on this and I'm empowering them just to have a say in it as well. Like, don't just blindly follow, ask me questions, poke it, say there's a gap here and this is what
Mhm.
you're not thinking about. Like I still don't know everything and it's going to take me, I'll never know everything. No one can. So I always want someone to, I always appreciate when people just don't blindly follow and say, you know what, you're not thinking of, or have you considered this? Like all those things are so, we've got blinders up all the time. Every single person does. And so if you just remove those blinders and ask for that 360 feedback, because great ideas come from everywhere, super helpful. But I'm certainly being a little more, I
Sure.
think I know.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this previously, but I mean that's the EOS approach. You get to be a visionary,
Yep.
and lead the company. And it's not to say that anybody's less important in the operations and fulfillment, but there needs to be a leader at the helm, the one that's also
Yep.
thinking beyond just the, hey, we got these tasks for today. It's, well, no, we got these things for the future. And so
Yep.
that's yeah, you obviously you have to get rid of your ignorance in that was caused by never being in this industry. You're obviously learning it now. So now you can come in here with an expert opinion, now lived it, now experienced it, and then also take your wisdom that came from outside of the industry as well. So
Yep. And
I'm
and the
excited.
best eyes, the best eyes on a business are fresh eyes. I like
Yeah.
to
Oh
encourage
yeah.
every new employee, hey, point some things out that we're not doing well or
Mhm.
you think should be done differently because you have no, oh, this is just because how we do it. We do this
Yeah.
because. And so I love that mentality of someone new. And so
Yeah.
I've kind of had that and I'm still in that phase kind of, and so I'm slowly falling into, well, we just do that. It was like our gate situation. There's a back gate to our property that goes to the street we exit on. It's way more conducive, but we never did it because it's not a sliding gate and we can't close it when the crews leave because it's a main street. But I'm like, well, what if we just bought a sliding gate and remotes? It's
Mhm.
so simple solution
Oh,
changes 10 minutes of our load in and load out every day.
that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean that compounds a ton over time. So
It does.
okay, so I'm also very interested in um how you stay connected. So you and I got introduced because of a mutual friend with Nate Moses over at Precision Landscape Management in a completely different state over in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now? Obviously, you said you joined NALP, but what are you doing to stay connected to others in the industry? Mentors, other peers like that. Is there anything that you're involved with? And I know you mentioned earlier that you were at an event or you went to an event. Was that related to that, or have you been to any events related to the industry?
Yeah, hey, another good one. So I think that's really important as an owner and being connected in the industry and learning from others. That's a rare thing about this industry
Hmm.
specifically. Everyone is so willing to share. There's no trade secrets. It's like, oh, you're there. Listen, this is what we did when we operated like that, and here are some of the mistakes we made. They're
Hmm.
so freeing of their advice and wisdom. I've never experienced that in any other industry, so I'm so thankful to be a part of this industry for that reason alone. Um, so Nate and I met because he became my mentor through Net. So they put out an email after I signed up and said, "Hey, we're doing a mentorship program. Would you like to sign up?" I'm like, "Absolutely." Unfortunately, I did sign up as a mentor.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I'm like 0 years experience. I have nothing like listed me as, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to lead someone terribly. So I quickly reached out. They switched that up, and then my first pick was Nate. I
Great.
got to read his profile, understand what he had done, and he is just a remarkable guy.
He is.
What an absolute bloody legend. So freeing of his advice, so willing, giving of his time. Him and I meet every 2 weeks. We have a bi-weekly stand-up meeting. We go through, I kind of present a ton of questions. In the beginning, it was a little more flexible. It's now become really regimented. This is a year-long mentorship. Um, he has been critical to a lot of the decisions that I felt confident making.
Great.
So Nate, you're listening, you're an absolute legend. Couldn't do this without you. Um, and then of course, yeah, it's like other things, right? It's an industry event. So we just started implementing Aspire software. It's a great end-to-end landscape solution. It's like having a data analyst inside of your company. This was one of those things that we needed to inject into this place before we got too big, so it wasn't such a headache. And to do it so that we had a better understanding of the business day to day and how to make great decisions, informed decisions, right? Educated decisions. So they had their conference Ignite this week. I was actually there all week in Anaheim, California. Great event. I got to meet Marty Granda, which was super cool. Got to sit down with him and have a quick chat. His podcast was like the Bible to me when I started. It was just
Yeah.
every week listening to what's his next advice, who's on his show next. Just a great wealth of information and a great history in this industry that, so tapping into things like that, not being afraid to just to say, hey, I'm new to this.
Hmm.
I heard about you. I reached out through this platform or whatever it is, even just a cold reach out, a direct message to someone and say, hey, I really respect what you're doing out there. I'm new. If at all possible, could I steal 30 minutes of your time one day? And so I've done a lot of that where I've just cold reached out to companies that I admire out in the industry out of my state, because there's probably a little competitiveness
Sure.
inside of the state naturally, competing for the same clients. So, and everyone's been super gracious. They've been gracious with their time, they've been gracious with their advice, and they've just been really, really wonderful. So just not being afraid to take that leap and again, humbling yourself and saying, I need that advice, I need that mentorship, I need someone who's been proven and who's made some of the mistakes. So maybe I can avoid some of them. You won't avoid them all, but if I can minimize some of them. So I'd say go to the industry events, apply for all the awards you can get in this industry just to make some accreditation. Whether it means something or not, it's some badge of honor. And it also, we won bronze at NALP Awards of Excellence this year for best maintained yard. And mentioned it to my team. They didn't know I submitted it. I told them which property. Man, the light up on their faces of like, I'm being recognized for the work that I've done. I was like,
Awesome.
oh, I didn't realize it was going to do that. And I'm like, well, that's more impactful now.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so,
And congrats to you.
um, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm stoked. It's great. It's a great, and we only submitted one. Most companies submit like five or six.
That's
I was
awesome.
like,
Great.
I only had time to photograph one. So I was
Yeah.
like, man, I got to get into this. So it was like the day before the entries were closed.
Yeah.
So
That's
it
awesome.
wasn't as neat as it could have been. But yeah, just put yourself out there.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the best advice I can give anyone.
Yeah, honestly, and I think as any business owner, obviously, we are in the digital marketing space, yes, for the green industry, but I attribute so much of our company's success to my peers, my mentors, the people that have paved the way ahead of me,
Yep.
that I got to learn and I mean avoid years of mistakes that they are so openly sharing on how to avoid,
Yep.
how to build a successful agency. And so yeah, I'm sure no matter the industry that you're in, there
Yep.
is a community out there for you, and you have to really be plugged in. You have to get into that. Otherwise, to our points, you're gonna make mistakes that people have made for decades, and you can avoid
Yep.
those, and you can
Yep.
really bring yourself up to speed very quickly. And I think one of the amazing things about this, especially, and you're not this way. I try to feel like I'm not this way. But some people like can get prideful. And so this is a quick way to humble yourself and say,
Mhm.
like, you know what? Look at all these companies. I think I'm running something so great, but look at how good these other companies are. And that'll humble you real quick. I always thought, like, man, we run a really sharp agency. We do a lot of really good things. And then I'll see some of these other big players, and I'm like,
Yeah.
teach me everything you know. So
That's exactly what happened this week at Ignite. I'm going out there. I'm like feeling really good about the moves we've made in this
yeah,
company. I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing things. We're growing. We're winning. And I went there. I'm like, oh, we are tiny. I
yeah,
was like, so
yeah,
wow. We have so far to go. And I'm like, what a great place to be, though.
for sure.
Like it's like how much opportunity I have ahead of us. Like,
It's so exciting.
see, it's so exciting. It's just the ceiling's not capped.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
endless right now. So, but it was again, like you said, humbling as anything.
Yeah. But it is, I mean, it's humbling, but exactly that. It's so exciting because you're like, I could get there someday. Like,
Hmm.
how cool, like, I'm loving my business and where we're at right now. And there's so much hope that things can get better. And there's
Yeah,
so many more new things. It really does kind of get rid of a plateau mentality. Like, okay, this is
yeah,
as good as it's gonna get. It's like, No, there's always like that next thing, which really
Yeah,
keeps business exciting, it keeps the industry exciting, not just for yourself, but for your employees, for your
yeah,
customers, and everybody that's kind of within your purview. So, yeah, just staying up to date, connecting with peers, dropping any potential pride you might have, staying
yeah.
connected, and yeah, I mean, and then and try to find somebody like a Nate Moses that
Big
is
time.
so gracious with their time, their wisdom, their knowledge, their experiences, because there are a lot of people out there that just love to share, love to give, love to mentor, and it can change your life, not just your business, but it can change your life. So yes.
You're spot on, and that's exactly right. Like find your people, because people are there are those people that are just willing to give, and it's like, but then you run into that conundrum of like, what do I give back?
Hmm.
Right? Like, how do I give back? And I think it's just passing the baton forward and just saying, like, when I get enough experience, I'm going to sign up to be that mentor. I'm gonna do something for someone like myself because he's not doing it for me. He's doing it for the people who helped him.
Hmm.
Right. And so it's just about keep sharing it forward.
Yep. Well, I actually had a bunch of other questions, but we are kind of getting close on time, so I definitely will be wanting to have you back on, so that we
Okay.
can get into things because I have questions, and I think this might be perfect for a follow-up because one of my questions, and I know a lot of people have a hard time answering, even people that have been in the business for so
Mm.
long, is how do you survive winter? And obviously this varies based off of where you're at, the services that you offer, the size of your company. Are you continuing to offer services throughout the winter? Are you not? I think that in itself, I mean, that can be a 30 to 45-minute conversation just in that. So I would love to, and this kind of gives everybody more of an incentive to tune back in. I would
There you
love
go.
to kind of pick your brain on that potentially after winter passes and you come out of that and like what are your new learnings from this past winter, because I mean, again, it does depend on where you're at. Like a winter here in the swamps of Florida, I mean, are going to be very different than those up in Maine. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I would love to follow up, love to get you back on here. And it's been awesome talking to you, Dustin. You're an amazing guy, an amazing leader, business owner, husband, father. And so I'm very honored to have you on here, being part of this, and getting to work alongside you.
Well, thanks, Matt. It's a pleasure to work with you, and you guys have just crushed it for me. I mean, just having that funnel right now, we're getting calls. We've got systems in place. Gosh, my website looks pretty.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
and it's
it makes
actually,
it easy when you have a photographer at the helm. So yeah,
but it's not just that, it's so functional right now. So man, you guys have gifted us so much. All the employees, we launched it to them, and they're just like, whoa. They're like, it was pretty dated.
great.
But no, thank you for having me on, man. Like this was a treat. I'm sorry I ramble a little bit. I have so
No,
much.
no rambling at all. All like just such good content. I'm sure everybody listening to this is there's so many takeaways. So no, definitely did not ramble at all.
Well, I can't wait for part two. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, because if you ask me winter now, I said we'll figure it out.
You'll yeah,
I've got plans, but they may
good,
all shadow. So we'll
good.
see.
Well, we will check back in with you, see how it went. I'm sure it's going to go great, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot of stuff.
That I will. I'm sure of that.
Great. Well, Dustin, again, thank you for your time. Thanks for being on here. Thanks for chatting with me. Thanks for sharing so much. If you want to check out Dustin and everything that they're doing, you can check them out on their website. So Landscape St. Louis, you can Google them. Some amazing keywords in their business name, I will say, from a marketing
There it
perspective. I'm
is.
like, yes, Landscape St. Louis, let's go.
Yeah.
So check out their website. Check out the amazing photography that Dustin does. But just follow along what they're doing because obviously Dustin is tracking this company in a great direction, and obviously through his own experiences, but amazing team, mentorship, staying connected. It's where everybody should be at. So Dustin and his company are definitely going to be sort of a North Star for a lot of people. So I highly recommend just following along with them. So Dustin, again, thank you for your time, man, and I'm excited for the next time.
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be here.
You got it.